Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Frontier Unlocked. It's the April edition, which means we are 4 shows in, which means we've done 4 months. Where has this year gone? We've all covered a load of news already in the 4 shows, and this, in fact, we've got even more to share with you. In fact, I think today, producer Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to nod in the background, I'm sure. It's the longest show we're going to do. I think we're going to be near 2 hours on this show because there's a lot to go through. We do have a big chunk of elite at the end to go through in power play and discuss some other bits and bobs, but we do have a stacked show for you. So thank you for joining us once again. I'll say a big hello to everybody in the chat. I see loads of 07s, I see loads of people there from F1 Manager, I see lots of zookeepers in the chat. So hello from all around the world. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me as I take you through some of the news we've got for you coming up today. Of course, if you're watching, we do have some goodies for you just for free. We have some drops for our elite players. If you are watching, we do have 2 drops for you, or a drop of 2 ships. It's the Spring Meadow Shoreline drop. You've got to watch for 20 minutes to gain access to this. I'm getting some very, very strong Bermuda Shorts vibes out of these drops. Don't worry, chat, no chance of seeing my legs on the stream. They will forever remain hidden. They are too hairy and they look like a spider's trapped in a hanky. So you're not going to be looking at my legs, but they do give me strong Bermuda Short vibes. So 20 minutes and you will get those ship skins. All right, we also have loads more to talk about on this show. So coming up on today's show, I think we have a graphic. It wasn't working before, but I think producer Adam's fixed it. But coming up on the show, we have news for our Planet Zoo zookeepers. We have news for the Barnyard pack we just announced, and I'm going to be joined with a very special guest. We also have some confirmation of dates for the next DLC for Planet Zoo on console. Then we also have some news for our Jurassic World Evolution 2 players, which I know you've been asking about. So it's Harry from the team is going to give you a little message. Then after that, we have a deep dive with the wonderful Matt and Stu looking at some more features for F1 Manager 24 coming later this year, the mentality system being just one of them. It's well worth a look. And then we have a bumper segment for Elite Dangerous where I sat down with the equally awesome Curtis and Luke from the team to discuss all things power play. So there's a lot to go through, chat. So if you haven't, put the kettle on because there's loads of news, loads of information. Get some biscuits ready. It's about that time for tea, so stay comfortable. But not only that, we also have, as always, a competition. Now, I can't show you because my guest is sitting just there. And we're gonna bring him in with smoke something up. I'll show you the prize in a minute. But we do have a competition, which I'll go into in more detail a bit later on. We've got a headset, we've got a keyboard, we've got a lunchbox, we've got a beanie hat, we've got a vinyl, we've got a water bottle. We've got loads of good stuff to enter. And stay tuned to find out how you can win all of that stuff. Right, the intro was long enough. The show's going to be a long one. So, the first segment is going to be about the Barnyard DLC, which we announced 2 days ago. And we're going to bring in 7 new animals to the game. So we have a new scenery pieces, new animal encounter behaviour, and a new campaign scenario. But before we get into the details, let's have a look at the wonderful trailer. There we go. That is the trailer for the awesome Barnyard DLC coming on the 30th of the month for our PC players. But don't worry, it will also be coming to console later on down the line. We'll have more news on that when it's going to be arriving soon, but it will be coming to console later on. But it is coming on the 30th for our PC players. Now, you know, I love everything about Planet Zoo. It's very cozy, but it's not me talking about. I'm joined this evening for a very special guest. Welcome, the wonderful Jack. Thank you for joining me. This is your, now we talked about this before, this is your second stream, right?
Yeah.
First time with me.
So yeah, I'm an animator here at Frontier, and previously I was on a stream for Jurassic World Evolution 2, but now I've been on the Planet Zoo team working on this new pack, which is, it's a really nice pack.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the nice domestic farm animals, so a lot closer to home to a lot of us in the office, so it's been interesting to work on.
Well, thank you for spending your time. I know you're busy, and I know you finished your day's work, so you've actually come downstairs and are going to spend some time. So thank you so much. You mentioned the animals. Should we start talking about the animals, about what we're going to get? I mean, there's 7 new animals, right? look, I will ask you your favourite in a minute. But should we start? We've got a list to help me, but we'll start with the Sussex chicken.
Yep. So we got the Sussex chicken, which is, they were. Okay, I'll start. They were my favourite to work on.
Oh, they are.
So yeah, they were good fun. Like very very confident, but also docile. They just strut about like they own the place, but also can just slump down into just a strange smushed shape. And they'll forage around for food. That you always catch them like scratching at the ground.
Yeah, I did see. Look, obviously, I'm very lucky to get to look behind the scenes and see the stuff you worked on. I watched these being sort of some of the early footage of them, and it's really wonderful what you've done to capture their sort of. Yeah. The animation's great because I think you've really captured their personality, which I really really like, which is really fun. And then next up we have the Alpine goat. I think producer Adam's going to flick through a series of pictures for these. So there they are, the Alpine goat.
So yeah, we got the Alpine goat. Obviously, got the namesake from being from the French Alps. And obviously something you can't necessarily tell from looking at it is that goats have hollow horns, like most goats, so does the Alpine goat.
Okay, that's an interesting fact. And then we have, we have the Highland cattle, I believe, is next. Yep, there we go.
Here we go. So this one's brand new reveal, the old hairy coos.
The hairy coos?
Yeah, that's what they're known as up in the Scotland.
I got in real trouble when I put on a Scottish accent, so I'm not doing it again, chat.
I tried.
But yeah, the hairy coos. All right, that's interesting. It's a lovely shot as well. So it's just a reveal for us. That's great.
Yeah, they're beautiful. So obviously predominantly found up in Scotland, but they've also, in like Sweden as well.
Okay.
So because they're just, obviously they've got that big fluffy coat. So just used
I am jealous of their hair.
Yeah,
I'm
I
very
thought
jealous
you
of
might
their
be.
hair. Yeah. Getting envy.
They got some to spare.
Oh, it looks like you got loads to spare. Next up, a favourite of my wife, the alpaca.
Oh yeah. So there we go. There's very fluffy, very cute, and apparently they'll hum to communicate, which is interesting. Very interested to find that out.
I hum to be annoying. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, and I imagine they would be too.
Yeah.
And yeah, apparently as well, the juveniles are known as crias, which is baby animal in Brazilian Portuguese.
That is a really good pub quiz question, right? What is a baby alpaca known as? So pay
in
attention.
Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. Very niche pub question, but again, it's one to learn. And next up, we have the American donkey, I believe. There we go.
Yeah, got another nice donkey added to the game, and something that's nice about donkeys is that obviously they are in herds, but they form really strong bonds. Mm-hmm. So they will have a best mate in the herd. And the American donkey specifically, of the 40 million domestic donkeys worldwide, about 40,000 of them, so 1% I think that is.
Don't ask me to do maths,
yeah,
honestly. Don't ask me to do maths,
are American donkeys.
Wow, okay. And then we have now how am I going to say Radnor sheep, the Hill Radnor sheep. There we go.
So again, another animal named after where it's from, which is the Radnor Hills in Wales. A mountainous sheep, so you see those up in the mountains in Wales, and apparently, unfortunately, they are currently listed as vulnerable, but there are conservation efforts going, and obviously you can do that in your own zoos.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure if this is the last one yet. The last one is my spirit animal.
Yep.
It's the Tamworth pig. So there we go.
Still has more hair than you, I believe.
Well, all right. Yeah, but yes, it's accurate.
Another vulnerable species in the UK, Tamworth pig. There's actually quite a famous pair of Tamworth pigs known as the Tamworth Two, which were Butch and Sundance, the Sundance pigs. The Tamworth pigs, which escaped an abattoir and went on the run.
Wow.
For a whole week.
This is a really cool story.
So yeah, it's like Chicken Run, but
I was about to say, this feels like an Aardman animation sort of film. There's a plot line for the next film.
And I mean, unfortunately, they were found, but fortunately, they now live a safe and happy life.
Sunning on grass and having pictures taken. Oh wow! Okay. All right. So there's a look at the animals. I mean, they still obviously we got screenshots for you, but they don't really do them. They do them some justice actually. They're wonderful screenshots, but the cinema in motion is another thing as well. It's really really sweet. But alongside these new additions to the Barnyard Animal Pack, also features 60 plus rustic scenery pieces. So you want to talk a little bit about what these sort of scenery pieces are?
Yeah, so we've got all your usuals, your benches, tables, we've got nice picket fences, different gates, and then more interesting things like water pumps and wells and wind pumps and all the good farmyard things, weather vanes.
So you get a good look at, I mean, you get a feel for that in some of these screenshots, and also you get in the trailer as well, you get a good look at how you'll be able to utilise those scenery pieces. But I'm sure, like all of us, we're really excited to see what players do, or zookeepers do when they have this pack, and sort of what they make with all these new pieces, or how they adapt them into their zoos as well, which is
some
really
really
fun to see.
unique pieces we got.
And then lastly, it's not just all of that, because that's a lot. There's a scenario as well. So what's happening in the scenario we've got to go through in this one?
Well, in my own words, embark on a transformative journey as you breathe new life into a once neglected farm. Team up with returning character Tiffany Summers to create a thriving animal sanctuary. Watch the beauty of healing and restoration unfold amidst the rolling fields and gentle breezes of the New Zealand countryside.
It's almost like you read that.
No, I just came to me.
Okay, well, that was well thought up on the spot.
Thank you.
But yeah, obviously there's another scenario as well for our zookeepers to work their way through, and the challenges that then entail. So there's a lot in that DLC pack, but that's not all, because alongside the Barnyard Animal Pack, we've also bringing a free update. I think it's 1.17 to all of our PC players, and a number of habitats can now be converted into animal encounters, allowing guests to get closer than ever to their animals. So do you want to talk a little bit more about what's in the free update?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, and probably saw in the trailer, we can now have guests interacting with certain animals. Mm-hmm. So you can take your habitats, and then if they've got the right species in them, you can change it into an animal encounter. And in order for the guests to interact with the animals, they need to be happy, and they need to have certain scenery pieces in there. So you need a hygiene station.
Yeah.
Because obviously you've got to wash your hands after
yes.
you've touched an animal. And yeah, so obviously all the animals in the Barnyard pack can be interacted with, and then have a few select ones from previous packs and base game, like your lemurs, reindeer, raccoons, capybaras. So yeah, hopefully you can have a lot of fun.
That's cool, and that's a free update that's coming as well. So that's really, really fun. So there's stuff in there for everybody, which is really nice to see you do. And as we stressed, this update will be coming to our console players, but it will be later on down the line. And when we have more news on that, we will let you know. Right, Jack, I know you finished your day, so I just want to say thank you so much for joining me and having us a brief look at the Barnyard DLC, which is on the 30th of April. So not long to wait. 6 days, isn't it? 24th today, right? So 6 days. You only got to wait 6 days. Next Tuesday, chat, and you'll be able to get your mitts on this DLC along with a free one. So enjoy that. So Jack, talking about enjoying stuff, get home, enjoy yourself a nice tea.
Thank you
so much for joining us.
Bye all.
Producer Adam, should we have a look at the trailer one more time? There we go. Thank you so much. I know Jack's rapidly running up. He's got to get home, got to get some tea. But thank you so much, Jack. I'm sure we're all appreciative of his time to go through all the wonderful animals coming to the Barnyard DLC pack, releasing next Tuesday, the 30th of April. Now, obviously, we're aware that some of our players, our zookeepers, are asking, is that going to be the last DLC pack for Planet Zoo? Well, as much as busy the team are bringing all the content over from PC onto console, they are working on another animal pack that will be released later on this year. And we'll have more details for that when we have them nearer the time. But yeah, so there we go. Thank you so much, Jack, for tuning in. Right, so that was the fluffy animals. We've talked about those. But also we've got some more news, which is we talked, I think, last month. Yes, it was last month. We announced the next DLC rather for the Zoo console, which is the Aquatic and Twilight bundle. Really happy to announce the release date for this is May the 28th, and it features 10 animals and 370 scenery pieces plus 2 new scenarios. So for our console players, put that date in the diary, May the 28th. That is the Aquatic and Twilight bundle will be coming to consoles. Right. So that really is me talking about all the fluffy animals, but enough of the fluffy animals. What about the ones with teeth and basically giant lizards? We've got a special message from one of the team on the Jurassic team. So let's have a look.
Hey guys, it's Harry from the Jurassic World Evolution 2 team. I wanted to come on today and share some really exciting news about the project. The team's been working really hard, and I'm very pleased to announce that we'll be bringing out a brand new species pack in the next few weeks, which will bring 4 new species to your parks. I'm sure you're dying to know more about the pack, but you have to wait just a little bit longer for that. We'll have some news to share closer to the launch. Until then, keep your eyes peeled on our social channels. What I can give you today, though, is a little, well, rather big teaser on one of the upcoming species which can soon be in your parks. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm sure the eagle-eyed among you know exactly what's on the way, and I can assure you we're just as excited as you are. That's all for now, but like I said, you'll want to follow us on our social media channels for news on when the next species pack will be out.
Thank you so much, Harry. He's a lovely, lovely lad. Couldn't make me a coffee earlier on today, but we won't bring that up, Harry, shall we? And those are the eagle-eyed of you will have noticed, since I'm giving people a hard time, the crease in the rug is still not fixed. So just an F in the chat there for producer Adam, has not fixed the crease in the rug. Right, so if you're just joining us, welcome to Frontier Unlocked. I'm Arthur, one of your hosts here, one of the community team at Frontier. You've already missed a load of content already so far in this month's show. We've talked about the Barnyard Animal DLC pack coming April 30th. We've talked about some new news for Jurassic World Evolution 2 players. We talked about the the next DLC coming for Planet Zoo console players, which is May 28th. So yeah, already we've covered a lot. But that's not all. So now we're going to start looking about the competition that I mentioned. So we talked about what you can win, which is a headset, a keyboard, all this stuff here. We've got a beanie hat with Elite Dangerous on it. We've got a mug. We've got some pin badges. We've got vinyl. We've got a water bottle. Water bottle, that was very Essex, wasn't it? Water bottle. We've got this ROG keyboard up here. Loads of stuff to win. So to be in with a chance to win it, really, really simple. All you need to do to win all of that swag is in chat, pop in !chicken. That's !chicken, and you'll be in with a chance to win all of that swag there that I just mentioned. Yeah, so I'm going to get some flack about my accent. I do apologise, but it was very Essex, wasn't it? But there is a water bottle to be won. Right. Okay. So we've talked about all the animals, ones with teeth and lizard skin, plus all the ones that are feathers and plucky and lovely. Now it's time to talk about things that go whoosh around the track with wheels and rubber. Let's have a look at F1 Manager 24, where I sit down and talk to both Matt and Stu from the team. But before we do that, let's have a look at the trailer.
Do you have the courage to compete? The ambition to create a team? The confidence to carve your own path? To push innovation and confront deeper challenges? Orchestrate your ascent? Steer mindsets? Design your own journey? Create a team? Create a legacy.
Okay, so on last month's Unlocked, we talked about the Creator Team feature coming to F1 Manager 24 later this year. A feature that allows players to create the 11th team on the grid, complete with your own custom liveries. However, on this month's Unlocked, we're going to be talking about some of the new management features and evolutions coming to the game later this year. And for that, I need some reinforcements. So welcome back, Stu, and welcome, Matt. So for those people that don't know, didn't watch last month, shame on you. Stu, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do? And then Matt, can you do the same?
Yep. Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm Stu, the executive producer for F1 Manager 2024. My role is to steer our wonderful team towards the right priorities and deadlines to get the game out.
I'm Matt. I'm the art director on the project. So it's my job to look after the art, all the lovely artists, and shepherd them towards victory, and also make the game look nice and shiny.
Well, I think we're going to see some of this in a moment. I think we can all agree the game looks very, very shiny. In fact, we should probably start with some of that sort of stuff. So let's talk about some of the on-track stuff and some of the things you're going to see straight away with the tracks themselves. Matt, maybe you want to talk through some of the changes we're seeing?
Yeah, so it's super exciting. The art team's really kind of lifted the bar on the quality that we're achieving this year. So we're looking at some lovely pictures here. Hopefully people at home can see this. So we've got some really nice detail that we've added, things like the racing line. So I think in the sort of previous versions of the game, the tracks didn't quite have the life that comes from the sort of evolution over the weekend. So now we've got that in. We've got nice little details like the marbling at the side of the track. The way the grass interacts with the track is much more natural as well. You can sort of see these like paths and things that you're seeing in the circuits in real life. A lot of this stuff comes from the satellite photography that we've used to build the circuit, so it's another great way that we're able to sort of use that to bring these tracks to life. You can see sort of the pit lanes, the sort of paddock areas. They've got a lot more colour in this year. So we're using a technique called splat mapping to do a lot of this.
Now, you mentioned this before. Now, please explain to me splat mapping, because it's my favourite term I think I've heard in my entire time at Frontier Towers. Splat mapping is my favourite thing. What is it?
It's a bit like running wild with a paintball gun. So rather than having a single image that's applied to the surface, we literally, you go around and you splat on these additional bits of detail. So they can be very small patches of details, and they layer up and create this very organic and natural looking surface that sort of replicates what you see in the real world. And that's kind of delivering a lot of these sort of big visual shifts that we're seeing here.
Yeah. And I think it's, I think it will bleed through, and everything we see with F1 Manager 24 is the detail that is going into this game. And I think it looks fantastic. It's not to take anything away from last year's game, because it did look great. This is an evolution of just what we've been trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the art team is always kind of hungry to build on its success. So every time we do something, it's great, but we want to do more and more and more and more. So this is this year's evolution.
Nice. Well, it looks very shiny, and we haven't even seen it in motion yet. Well, we'll get to it, chat. We'll get to it. Don't worry about that. But it's not just tracks. I believe we've got some new faces coming into the game.
Yes, so we've added to our little driver roster. So here we're looking at Teo Pourchaire. So for fans of the series, Teo is one of the most signed drivers in previous versions of the game. So here he is, joining our little driver rostrum. So you can enjoy putting him on the podium, hopefully, signing him to your winning team. And the other driver that we're looking at here is Liam Lawson. So Liam obviously got some action last year in F1. So we think it's appropriate to add him there, so you can also kind of recreate that. It gives you some more options, some nice visuals to look at. It's just great to add to the driver roster.
Yeah, I think it's bringing the whole experience alive. I think it's a wonderful job that the whole of the art team is doing here. So love to all of the boys and girls doing that sort of stuff. So well done. But there's still more to talk about. There's another sort of, it was kind of an exclusive, because we've just talked about 2 new drivers. We'll talk about pit lanes and what happens with pit lanes. Is this another little mini exclusive you give us here, that pit lanes changing?
I think we've got a little exclusive. We can.
Yeah, we're on an exclusive roll today. We'll have to keep track of them. There should be a little counter in the bottom corner. So pit lane reordering.
Yes.
So this is kind of a biggie that everyone in the team loves, and we often see it as a thing that the community talks about. So obviously, as you play through the game and you hopefully move up the championship order, your pit garage on each track kind of moves up, and this kind of replicates another sort of real life kind of feature of F1 that effectively the guys at the top, the best team, gets the best garage in terms of the pit order on the track, and there are some strategic benefits to that.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're kind of happy to say that we've put in the game this year as well.
So there's another little dash of authenticity just sprinkled on top. So
we
exactly
do love our
that.
authenticity.
Yeah, it really, all of this feeds into that authentic F1 world.
okay, yes, I'm sure there'll be people that will be very happy to hear these little features. But one feature that isn't so little is we're going to talk about some of, I guess it's a very key feature, which is the mentality system, which is a brand new system that's coming in for Formula 1 Manager 24 this year. So can you speak a little bit about what the mentality system is? Because it does have quite a lot of effects within the game.
It does, yeah. So one of our key pillars this year is deeper team management, and the mentality system, really speaks to that. It brings personality to all the people in the game. It adds stories and drama, and a whole new layer really of management for our players to engage with.
Yeah, and it's I guess the question, why have we added this? is the question. What have we done? I guess it's to give players that challenge, right?
Yes, exactly that. So We had a morale system in our previous game, which was quite light in its effects on the gameplay, and the mentality system really, replaces that morale system, brings a whole new level of depth. The drivers and staff in the game, they'll have kind of 3 key areas that feeds into their mentality. So they'll be reflecting on their performance, their team's performance, and your performance as a team principal. And there are, a variety of factors that feeds into each of those 3 key areas. So, as we can see some on the screen here, each of those factors is affecting their mentality, driving it up, driving it down. As their mentality goes up and goes down, that is going to have a direct impact on their performance on race day. It's going to impact their lap times. It's going to impact how they feel outside of a race as well. So if they are feeling down, if they are negative, they might be more susceptible to being poached by another team. For example.
So you can be poached from other teams. Yeah,
yes,
that's
right. So it's really important, to take this whole new layer of management on board and consider it as you play, because there'll be impacts in all the decisions you make will feed into driving.
This is all, you said staff as well, right? So it's not just about, it's easy to get fixated, I guess, on the driver aspect of it, of course, but it can affect staff, and that also has knock-on parts. I said parts because that's what I was leading into, chat. But you could have people that are designing parts for your cars at low morale, and then
Yep, drivers and staff, so your entire team. And you'll be able to see all of this in the new Mentality Hub as well, so you get a snapshot of what's going on within your entire team. If your staff are feeling positive or negative, that will be reflected in their performance as well. So as you say, designing car parts, building car parts will be impacted by their mentality. Their opinion of their drivers' weekend performance is going to impact the mentality. So it feeds through the entire game to have an impact everywhere.
I think what I really enjoy seeing, like from a slightly artistic perspective, it kind of really brings people to the game instead of the photos that's there, and you start to see these sort of stories emerge within your team of how your team is doing and how you as a kind of team principal are affecting them, and you start to see a little bit of the personalities that you maybe see in the real world come out. So
yeah, definitely.
Although we've got these sort of individual attributes that everyone has, they react to things differently. So you can see a situation almost like you would in the real world, that you have 2 drivers in the team, let's say Max and Checo, for example, and they care about different things. So Max is very used to winning. When he's not in a winning situation, he gets demoralised quite quickly, whereas someone like Perez might be happy with that. He's got less wins. He's not used to being at the front. If he's not at the front every week, he's not so bothered. And you start to see these sort of almost like little rivalries emerge, on those weekends where maybe Perez does better. Max's mentality is going down, and you've got to manage that as a team principal. So I think it sort of changes the dynamic quite a lot. You're no longer kind of assembling, necessarily staff with the best ratings. You're trying to look at how people work together. You're trying to make sure that your lead driver, if you choose to have one, maybe gets the focus. Maybe they can't handle if you give your number 2 driver better parts.
Yeah.
You see these little stories emerge through the season, so it's really fantastic to see. It adds so much depth this year. So it's almost one of my favourite features.
Yeah.
Definitely brings team management to the fore. Like this is fundamentally team management.
Yeah.
And kind of what Matt was saying there about it. It does, storylines will emerge that you see and relate to from real life. And you're going to get a different experience in each game you start as well, each save game you play. You might play with the same team, but there's so many butterfly effect moments that you're going to have a different experience and see different storylines emerge from the mentality system that you otherwise might not have.
I think you called it there. You said it. It's that you're a team principal, and it's bringing that team element again to the forefront about how you manage those personalities, their wants, their needs, and how pleasing one person may upset somebody else, and you have to balance that out. It's tough. Real life is tough, chat. But one thing that I did notice as we were going through this video, you were talking about sort of progressing on throughout the season. Did I just watch us sim a race?
We did.
Did I see that? Or am I just being silly?
We did simulate a race. That's another one of our New features for this year. So
Another tick.
Another tick. Another
in the
tick. 3-minute exclusives for Unlocked. Yes.
we're really looking to offer a different approach to play here, a new way to play the game. People really want to get far into the future and experience, an alternative reality. So, giving people the ability to simulate races enables that. It enables you to get deep into the game, see how your decisions are unfolding further into the future.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I sort of had a little mini playthrough while we were developing it, I prefer picking the teams at the back and that kind of challenge of building them up, and it makes it so much more kind of enjoyable. I can really focus on like building my team and putting my stamp on the team and how I want to develop it. And then, in season 2 and season 3, then you can sit there and you can sort of, enjoy all that lovely race management that we've got there, and you can really capitalise on how you've developed the team and you can take them forward. It feels, I'm in control a lot more.
Yeah, I think, for someone who sits on socials a lot, I understand this is going to be, I'm sure there'll be some people going off in the chat. We can't, obviously, if you haven't worked it out, this is a pre-record, but I'm sure at this moment in time, knowing that you can sim races has been a big win. So great to see that snuck in there. And thank you, Adam, producer Adam, for sneaking into the footage. So that's a nice another little treat. But going back to mentality, just to, now we've sort of teased you something else there. We touched on really, really briefly, but I think we have some screens to show as well. Mentality is important because if driver's mentality or staff mentality drops, there's an option they could get poached. So we have some poaching screens to show. So there's going to be some poaching going on, right?
That's right, yeah. So in F1 Manager 2024, your drivers and staff are susceptible to AI poaching. And if, as you'd expect in real life, if someone's not feeling good about their team, if someone's not feeling good about their team principle, they're going to be more, likely to listen to those offers and
whispering in
consider
their ear.
them. Yeah. Whereas if they're feeling really great, if they're feeling really positive about their place in the team and the performance of their team, they're more likely to stick with you and sign with you, and not hear those offers. Yeah. So AI poaching combined with mentality just adds to that new layer of team management.
It was really interesting to see the sort of the Lewis Mercedes Ferrari situation kind of evolve. We were already talking about this and planning this feature and building it, and you can see it in real life.
It's that meme. It's that meme that you're just pointing at the screen, going, "This is what we're doing. We're doing this."
You can imagine. Perhaps his mentality was, not positive, and so Ferrari saw their opportunity and got in there to coach.
But you can see his race results, right? So Lewis, 7 times world champion, he's got an amazing driver rating. Why is he not performing? He's not a worse driver. It's his mentality.
Yeah.
And adding that to the game adds so much more flavour in terms of how your drivers and your staff kind of evolve and how you play through it, and the mechanics that you've really got to leverage to get those right results. There are so many more ways to play the game this year, so it's super exciting when we see this stuff in real life, and we're kind of delivering that sort of real authentic F1 experience.
Yeah, I think it's the story. You've said it earlier on, Stu. It's the stories that are going to unfold between just if you've created the team, your story of your team, but then the drivers within that and their history, what you're going to, or the legacy you're going to create, the drama that might unfold between internally, externally. It's going to be fantastic to watch players do this, and then allowing players to sim races. They can really take that sort of way into the future to see how their legacy actually will lay out. So it's really, really exciting. There's a lot there we've just spoken about. We talked about the new mentality system. We talked about how that can affect a wide aspect of things within F1 Manager 24. We've talked about some of the changes on the track and visual changes that we're going to be seeing. Some new driver faces and exclusive. We had 3 exclusives, I think. We're counting correctly. I think it was 3 mini exclusives.
We'll have to try 4 next time.
Try for 4 next time, because there will be a next time. Because there's more to talk about. Because obviously we talked about all these things, but it's not to say that it will add to the challenge of the game. But obviously the difficulty settings will remain from the previous iterations of the game. Plus obviously you're all behind the scenes doing your AI tweaks to make the game a little bit more challenging for players. I've had a great time as always talking to both of you, and again I just want to say thanks again for spending your breakfast. It was lunchtime last time, it's breakfast this time. Will you come back for another show, because we've got a lot more to talk about? We haven't covered anything near all of it yet.
There's lots more to come, so be glad to come back, glad to bring some of the team back as well and talk more.
All right, Matt, thank you. It's our first time, I think.
It's the first time we've done one of these, yeah.
Yeah. So great to have you on. Will you come back?
I will. It was so good. I will be back. But yeah, no, it's lovely to talk about the team's work. You know, people have done a fantastic job this year. It's really kind of heartwarming to see all the response that we get.
Yeah, no, people are very, very excited as well. They should be. All right, thank you very much. Back to me in the studio. That's weird, isn't it? I'm never going to get used to saying that. But back to me. All right, so there you go. That was a wonderful Matt and Shu talking about F1 Manager 24, the mentality system, and much more. Obviously, the astute of you, in fact, everyone would have realised that was pre-recorded, so it is a bit weird throwing back to me in the studio. However, it looks fantastic. So thanks again to both of those wonderful human beings for joining me for an interview about another cool feature coming later this year. And it is available to wishlist right now. So if you're interested in F1 Manager 24, you can wishlist it right now. Okay. Before we move on to Elite, just before, we have closed out the competition. So the lucky winner is, use my old man eyes to read, it is the _Silverwolf_ gaming. So have a check in your DMs for a DM from us. So congratulations, well done for winning all of the swag. All right, okay, so now we're going into a bit of a long segment now. So I hope you've got your tea and biscuits because there's plenty of stuff to go on. So congratulations, Silver Wolf. So we're going to go into Elite Dangerous. So we've got some news, some really exciting news that's happened last couple of days. So if you missed it, the Python Mark II release date has been confirmed for August the 7th in-game for credits. But if you do want to buy it early, you can via the store on May the 7th. We also talked about some proposed changes coming to engineering and some of the ship bundles or pre-built ship bundles we've got coming into the store later on in May. If you want to have all the details about that announcement that came out, please put in the chat !Python, and that will take you to that post. And then earlier on today, we put out a post to talk in a bit more detail about the pre-built ships. And we also talked about some of the proposed changes we're making to engineering, or going to look to make to engineering. And if you have a look at that post, it's !Engineering. So there's two big bits of news that are coming in there. I know people are hotly discussing this in chat right now. All the information is there. We are listening to all the questions that are coming in, and once we've collated them all, we'll probably have a load of answers that come out later on for that. But the next segment in the show is, again, it's pre-recorded, so I do apologise, but grabbing everyone who's busy working on different projects is really difficult. But I had a chance to sit down with the wonderful Curtis and the equally wonderful Luke to talk about Powerplay 2.0. As I said before, it's a long one, so have your biscuits and tea ready and enjoy. All right, welcome back, Luke, and welcome, Curtis. So I know who you are, obviously, because we've chatted a lot. But before we get started, for those that maybe missed the last show or haven't seen you on here before, can you introduce yourselves briefly and tell everyone what you do? Start with you, Luke.
So, yeah, I'm Luke. If you haven't met me before, I'm the lead game designer on Elite Dangerous.
And hi, I'm Curtis, and I am one of the full game designers on Elite Dangerous.
Well, guys, thank you very much for taking time out of your day again for me. Luke, I know I'm pestering you a lot. This is, again, chat, just to be clear, this is a pre-record, but this is the guys' lunchtime, so they're going to come talk to me at lunch, so I owe them lunch. But it's an important chat, and it might go on a little while, so we're going to get cracking, because we're going to be taking a deeper dive into Powerplay 2.0. So the way we're going to approach this is we're going to try and cover off as much as we can, because we took some feedback from the last show, and try and cover as many details as possible for Powerplay 2.0. We may miss some, but I think you're going to find we're going to cover a lot of stuff off, and we're going to break it down into segments for you. And I'm going to approach this as a player who perhaps doesn't engage with Powerplay as it stands right now, because I didn't really understand it. And I'm going to ask some questions from my perspective, and hopefully that'll answer the questions you might have in chat. So, starting from the top, I guess, Luke, Curtis, obviously feel free to chip in as and when you want. What is Powerplay 2.0 and the thought set behind it?
Yeah, so this is quite a big question. It's quite loaded. We're going to do our best to summarise it. If you're familiar with Powerplay 1, it's a fresh take on what Powerplay 1 is. If you're not familiar with Powerplay 1, which we're going to kind of assume is the case for most of you anyway, Powerplay 2 it's basically for these big powerful entities, or the figureheads at the front of these entities in Elites. You'll know their names from the various Galnet narratives and all that sort of stuff going on. It's the way that those guys interact with the rest of the game world. It's how they impose their influence on the galaxy. It's how they affect the laws or the restrictions, or the lack of laws and restrictions that go on in the galaxy. And yeah, basically it's a way of representing that, and since it's a huge galaxy, it's how they also butt heads against each other and how they conflict with that stuff. From a perspective of like you as a player, it's how you get to basically, pledge yourself to one of these powers and be their kind of acting force in the galaxy, spread their influence, butt heads with other players, and yeah, do that sort of fun stuff.
Cool. And Curtis, I guess Power Play 2.0 is about making that just more accessible and just a little bit clearer for players to engage with, right?
Yeah, like you, Arf, when I was playing before I joined Frontier, I also bounced off Power Play once. So our goal with this is definitely to make it much more player friendly and easy to sort of just jump into and start, enjoying the experience.
All right. Okay. So the crux of the matter is Power Play 2.0 is to allow players to pledge to a given power, support that power, be rewarded for supporting that power, and help that power do whatever that power wishes to, expand its territory, I guess is probably the easiest way to say it, the most succinct way to say it. All right, so we'll break this down into our first segment, which I guess we'll start with, which will be expansion. All right, so we're going to talk about expansion. So I guess, Luke, Curtis, in your own way, there's a lot to cover here and a lot of information we're going to try and get across as succinct as possible. I guess one of the main things that powers will want to do is expand their territory. And that could be into uninhabited systems, or more often not into systems already inhabited by another power. How does that work? And then I'll probably have some questions as we go into this. I don't know who wants to start this off.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
I suspect, yeah. So high level, right? Every power has a territory in the game. They take command over or impose their influence over a number of star systems. The name of the game really is to expand that as far as possible and express their influence on as wide as many people in the galaxy as possible. To clarify something that you said, it's all about the people, right? So the people of the galaxy, all of the starports, all of the places that people go and like actually live in the game, like that stuff. That's where they want to expand to. So yeah, most of the time you're going to be just seeing like a system that's nearby that hasn't yet felt the grandeur of your power's influence, and they need indoctrinating,
educating, Luke. Come on,
educating. Yeah. They need to be, encouraged to support your power, and you'll do that through the various actions that your power wants you to perform. But sometimes there'll already be a power there, so you'll run up against a couple of other powers and probably have these big rifts of contention between the two.
All right, so there's different. We touched in the previous show. We talked about the different system states. It's gonna be hard to not jump around too much, but I'm gonna try and fixate on just expansion at the moment. How does it work if I'm gonna go in and try and move my power into another system that already has a power in it? What's the process? What does that look like?
Cool. Okay, so we're doing that one first. Actually, you know what? Let me take you through the simpler version, right?
Yes, please.
Let's go through the first option. So, in the first example I gave, which is there's a nearby system. It doesn't have another power's influence over it yet, but it's quite close to yours. It's probably worth going in there and educating them, as you politely put it, on why it would be good for them to support your power. So, in that process, what you'll do is you'll make sure that your territory is well fortified. So increase the level of influence you have over your territory. That secures that territory for you. It makes it, quite a firm hold, and that allows you to then expand that influence into nearby systems. So you'll then go over to these nearby systems. You'll be able to see this on the galaxy map, how far you can reach, basically. You go in there and you'll basically start doing the actions that your power specifically cares about. You can do most actions, but there'll be ones that your power specifically cares about. This is based on who that person is, so it represents the character that you're kind of pledging to, and it means that the characters and different play styles will come together in different ways. So you'll find a power that's probably good for what you want to do in this process. Let's say you're a power that's particularly, their main sort of aspect is finance. It's not particularly exciting, but some people are really into that sort of idea of, basically just coming in and being like, look, we will be very good for your economy. And we're going to show you that through these actions. So, you know, basically making really good, successful trades with the local system, pumping their economy full of good stuff that they've been after for a long time, like all of that sort of good stuff. And you show them that your power is good. In doing that, there's a bar that basically fills up, which is, you know, a perfect like linear representation, super simple. We're going to just fill this bar up. Once you get past the threshold, you've convinced the locals that you're worth having. Your influence is worthwhile sticking around. That means that this uncontrolled system, which we're calling at the moment, will become the first of a layer of series of controlled systems. That's what we're calling exploited.
Okay. Which we remember from the previous videos we showed the different system states. And this is where it's important to stay with this chat, and this is where we're breaking into segments. So we have an exploited system now. Now, what do we do in exploited system? What can we do and what can't we do in an exploited system?
Yeah, Curtis, do you want to take some of this?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sure.
I'm going to be waffling for ages.
That's fine. Yeah, so exploited system, that's like the first level of control that a power can have over a system. In terms of what you can do in the system, it's still sort of like growing your influence there. You're not fully like entrenched there yet. So the main thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to increase your influence there. So there will be another set of actions in a similar way to when you actually come in to take a system. There will be another set of actions that help you reinforce the system. It helps build up your power there, helps create, basically like stronger ties to your power within the system. And at a certain point, you'll reach a threshold where that system is elevated to a new state, the fortified state. And that's when that system can start doing stuff for you. Because from a fortified system, you can then expand further. It creates a control radius around it that allows you to then expand into other systems.
Yeah, and then we're basically back to step one, right? This territory is now secured. You've got this territory. You've got a decent hold on that territory. So now you can start looking, again, one step further. You can look at the next stage of territory and move further on. And that's how you expand.
But you can, of course, stay in that territory if you want and move it from a fortified to another system state. Am I correct in saying that? And what
You
would
are
that state
indeed,
be?
yeah. So if you're not just trying to expand, but you're trying to basically reinforce all of your power's influence over these star systems, just support them. Like get into those systems, like support the locals, do what you need to do to keep the enemy powers at bay. Like just help your power hold on to control there, and that also pushes another bar further up. So we've got this one bar, we've done one bit of progress, we've got another bar now, we're going to move up towards a destination state, and this is called stronghold. This is where your power firmly has a grasp on this on this star system. And if you remember from the previous live stream, like this is the point where you'll start to see the branding of this power like everywhere. Like they're really, really like adored by the locals. They're super happy with this. Some of them might not be so happy with that, but there's a lot of fixed sort of branding on the walls, hanging from the ceilings and the social spaces, like all of that stuff. So it's going to feel really firmly in the control of this power,
And
which means it's particularly worrying if you get there and you're not a member of that power.
Well, we'll come on to that in a second. So in terms of expansion, we talked about the radius of expansion from a fortified system. Is it the same radius as it is from a stronghold, or does a stronghold have a greater radius of expansion?
Yeah, so it's not just a simple increase. Like the stronghold is like there's a notable difference to this. When you have a stronghold, like we know that you've got a strong hold on that system. So so that means fortified will let you jump a little bit. Stronghold means that you could be way further back and exerting a massive control radius around a whole bunch of systems.
Cool.
The counterpoint there is that makes it a bit of a target as well. So that's where it gets interesting.
We're going to start talking about that in a second, because this part's here that I'm working through in my head. It's just I'm talking this from my player's brain, which is I'm understanding power play, and I'm going to get involved in 2.0. But exploited systems, so the first level. So we've gone into a system, we've exploited it, and we've done that from a fortified system. So we've jumped from there. Which is great, so I'm expanding my power. What happens if that fortified system changes power? What happens to that exploited system? Does that stay mine, or does that drop out of being exploited?
Well,
Do you want to take this one?
yeah, that will depend on whether you have another system nearby that can help support the exploited systems. Like I said before, these systems are still up and coming, so your hold on them is quite tenuous. So if you don't have a system nearby that can help support them and protect them, then you will lose them if one of your fortified systems, for example, gets demoted to an exploited system.
Right, so it's quite important to because this is something I was in my head, like the grand strategies was going through my mind of like fast. You can expand quickly, but there is a risk to that, right? Because if you just start daisy chaining systems, you could have a break in that chain, and then a lot of systems can fall out of the waypoint, out of the way pretty quickly if you haven't created a stronghold, or if you're not managing that or creating supporting systems to supplement. One of the other questions I was going to have, and I guess is. We're going to come on, I promise we're going to come on to undermining in a second, but in terms of why systems are important and controlling more systems are important, it creates a score, right, for each power is ranked on how many systems it has. So do you want to explain a little bit why systems are important?
Yeah, so the overall, right, the goal of the powers specifically is to basically be the biggest power in the galaxy. So one of the key factors that goes into that is basically, how much do they get and how much is it worth? Which means that certain star systems that are particularly, they're long-standing star systems, they've got like noteworthy, economies. They are full of people. They are like hubs of trade, that sort of thing. Like those star systems are probably worth quite a lot. So there's a score attached to each of the star systems based on its value. Like it's primarily this is based on its population. I think there's quite a few factors that go into this, but essentially the more populated a system is, the more it might affect your power's ability to do what they want to do. So narratively speaking, there's a ton of stuff that they get off the back of this. They get to basically be a bigger power as a result of this. That means they're going to reward you for taking systems that are higher in value. So it's not just raw numbers. So if I have the 100 star systems and this power has 100 star systems, we are still probably going to be quite different in score. Because if I'm holding on to something that is like dead center of the bubble, I've got like a ton, excuse me, I've got a ton of systems that are, of extremely high value, like very big trade hubs. And this other power is like on the outskirts of the bubble. They've got like the small little outposts. They've got a couple of research locations, that sort of thing. Those systems aren't worth nearly as much as the other systems. So it's going to make it interesting about how you navigate territory, and which systems you choose is good.
Yeah. So I think that's really important for players to understand, right, Curtis? It's like, and when you're pledging to a power, and I think you said it there, Luke, it's not just land grabbing. You have to be quite strategic in terms of like what star systems you're going to want to take, because population count, obviously we spoke about it right at the start, Power Play 2.0 is about controlling people, influencing people to be of like-minded to the power that you've pledged to. So we are kind of hoping that this mechanic, or Power Play 2.0, Curtis, it will create areas of natural conflict, right? Because there will be systems where all the powers are going to want to have them, right?
Yeah, exactly. There will be like sections of the bubble that are very dense in these like high territory value systems that are going to be hotspots for powers to fight over. Equally, though, that will leave a lot of systems that go unnoticed because perhaps maybe they're not worth quite as much, and they might not have players fighting over them, which might make it something for players to come in and easily take on their own. Like couple of players, working together could take a small system quite easily, while everyone fights over like a handful and don't get anywhere because it keeps trading back and forth.
Cool. Okay, so I mean, this is one of the things when I had the top level pitch, this is what I was most excited about, and I think this will come through. And as we're talking, just again, chat, this is all pre-recorded. So what we'll be trying to do as we talk through this is be layering visuals on top of some of the stuff we're saying to give you an indication of how Power Play 2.0 is just a little bit clearer for players to understand exactly how they're impacting the galaxy and the actions that they take. Not just, as we said, just on going into a menu and having a look. You'll see it on the galaxy map. You'll also see it in the star systems you visit, because you'll see the stations changing, or you might see a stronghold carrier fleet, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Now teasing.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you've got the hardest job here. Sorry, just to disrupt you. You've got the hard job here, which is I can't show you any visuals right now. We're going to have to add them afterwards. So
yes.
Sorry. Good luck.
What I say I have the hardest job is producer Adam. So if it's wrong, Adam, if there's just a picture of a chicken on screen right now, blame Adam. Right. So without wanting to deviate too much, we talked about the score of a power being based on, each system having a score, and then it's a combination of that score. It's not necessarily the amount of systems they have, but the score associated to those systems combined. Does that replace anything from old power play? Because there was something called, was it command currency from before? Or command capital? I can't remember. This is how much I didn't get involved in power play 1, because it was too much for my brain. I didn't understand it. With this, I get.
So it replaces a part of command capital, the sort of the what's it worth to the power side. In Power Play 1, for those that don't know, and I don't blame you, command capital is basically generated by the systems that you own, and that's then used to do stuff in other systems. So obviously we've replaced that with the idea of that you just go and do stuff in the systems, and that does it rather than spending this sort of like meta currency.
Okay.
So yeah, but mostly in Power Play 1, it's just about the number of systems you own. It doesn't matter too much in terms of your ranking anyway, how powerful they are. Cool. Which is something that we really want to push more in Power Play 2. It's not just about the quantity of systems, it's about the quality of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so to add another point to that as well, because I suspect there's a few questions coming off the back of this. I'm essentially, I can see the questions in chat right now. So to answer a couple of those, I think, assuming I get these right,
I hope so,
one of the choices that we have is, because it's got this currency, and the currency is spent by the whole power in Power Play 1. That's confusing. It's hard. You've got voting. You've got all that sort of stuff. That's gone, right? If you want to turn up and do power play and you want to spread your power's influence, just turn up and do stuff. They'll tell you what they want you to do. You get to just pick where it's going to happen. You vote with your own actions. So if you want to make a big dent in something, then find a system that is probably fairly neglected, or that you could probably hit really quickly. Go and do some stuff there, or get involved with a really big push to take a very, very prominent star system, or attack a stronghold from an enemy power that's in a particularly weak location. You just get to go and do the actions. Yeah. So you can log on at any point, anytime, just go and do stuff, which should be really fun.
And we touched on it before, and hopefully we'll be showing some visuals around about now about how that will be easy for players to look at systems at a glance and be like, okay, this is a system I want to go to. This is a system where I can make an impact. There's a big fight happening here, or this is perhaps maybe one of those outlying systems where I can take it with maybe my own, or maybe with a couple of my wingmates. We can get involved here and we can take a system from my power. But it's all about Power Play 2.0 is about making it accessible for our players to just understand with immediacy, like, okay, I've pledged to this power, I want to have an impact, where can I go do it? And it's like, just go and do it with your actions rather than spending this stuff. Yeah,
and the UI will just give you all this information. The other thing that we touched on briefly here, which if you've spent any time in Power Play 1, I think you'll understand is can be challenging to read, is what's currently happening in the galaxy. So one of the biggest pushes that we've done with the redesign for Power Play 2 is we're trying really, really hard to basically show you what everyone else is doing. So you'll see when things are trending in a particular direction, you'll see an indication of that in the galaxy map. You'll see an indication of that on the Power Play hub menu. I can't remember what it's called now, but there's a menu and then there's a galaxy map.
TM.
So it means that geographically you can see, you can look around where you are, you can look at places very far away, and you can see for this star system, this getting heavily pushed in that direction. So that there's a bunch of people probably pushing that really, really hard. But also it means that you can see when there's a small system that's neglected, and you know that there aren't people pushing in another direction. So you can go to that system and you can go, there's no one here, and I know there's no one here, and I think I can sneak this really quickly and make a notable difference by myself, and that's really cool as well. So it means that everyone's actions are always they always have an impact on the galaxy, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I think it's the beauty and the difficulty, I guess, of Elite Dangerous, because you're your own hero, but there's not one single hero in the galaxy, right? And that's a mindset change that you seem to have got a balance here. It's having action, agency, and being able to deliver it. So staying as much as I can do with expansion, and I promised we'd talk about undermining. So I think we've covered that we've got no power in the system, exploited, fortified, stronghold.
Yep.
Do we want to talk about stronghold fleets now? We'll come back to them in a second.
No, we'll do that later. That's cool.
Do that later.
Tease.
So that's if there was no power in the system. So how do I take a system from another power?
I'll let Curtis deal with this one because this is the really fun one.
So this is actually the perfect segue into undermining, because the only way to take another power system, is to undermine it to be uncontrolled. You need to start from a blank slate. The populace of that system need to be sort of like malleable and sort of like open to new ideas and new philosophies. Yes, exactly. So what you would do is you would look at a system that perhaps maybe it's on your border, maybe it's looking a little bit weak. You know, their bar's like quite close to being uncontrolled anyway. You would go in, you perform some undermining actions that basically sort of just undermine the authority of the power in there. You basically show them up. Like, to stick with finance, as we use that as an example earlier, you might go in and just be like, look at how like weak your economy is. Look how easily I can crash it. Let me come in and I'll fix it for you. And then you undermine it. You make the system lose faith in the power that it has influence over them, and it becomes uncontrolled. And then we go back to that flow that we explained before, where as long as it's in expansion range of one of your systems, you can come in, start doing actions that will make the populace like you more, and then you take control of the system.
The fun bit there, though, is that power is probably not going to look at this happening and go, I won't do anything about that. They're probably going to notice, and they're going to essentially, first of all, they're going to try and stop you undermining. And we'll probably talk a bit more about that in a bit. But once that system has been lost to them, they've essentially lost full control, they'll want to retake it. And at the same point, you want to take it. So now you've got two competing powers in one star system. And there can be technically as many powers as there are fighting over a single star system. That's I think, technically possible. So then what we've got is, I can't remember what we're calling it. Curtis, please correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I'm going to describe it as a contested expansion attempt by two powers. So I want to take this system. You want to take this system. We're both going to start assuming that like we're just going to show up here and do what we were trying to do before, which is that, you know, we're just going to educate people on why we're the right power, and they're going to try and educate people on why we're the right power. And then you've got these two powers, and essentially you're both pushing your own independent like sort of progress bar towards the end. Sorry, this is probably mirrored, so it's going that way probably. Anyway, so you're filling up these progress bars, but after a point, it becomes pretty clear that both of these powers are now contesting for this star system. And at that point, essentially, the gloves are off. So now it's about also showing why the other power is not a good choice. And you basically just get to have a fight with them. You, as I said, gloves off, right? So go and kill the other power members. Go and kill their ships. Go and stop them doing anything that they're going to do. Like, have an all-out battle in that star system that makes you look like the victor. If you equally, you can carry on doing what you were doing before as well. So let's using the finance thing. If you're a trader, right, dodge the fights, but still show them that you can like trade like crazy even in this scenario, and that will also still contribute towards this kind of contested expansion attempt. And if you do that better than they do theirs, you take it. So, but then you have to keep it. Yeah, and that's where that kind of tug of war kind of comes in. So you might go through quite a long expansion attempt where you're fighting against another power, or you might have a ton of people fighting on both sides, and that's going to push it through really quickly. And someone will take it, and then everyone else will try and take it off you. So you have to weigh that into your decisions about where to fight, what to do, what territory to take. You know, and let's say you might be losing this, right? This battle might be terrible for you. Well, then maybe you undermine what they're not paying attention to now. And that's where it gets really interesting. So you could change tactic midweek, do something else. It's great. Yeah. Should be loads of fun.
I can't wait to see the meta of some power, because players will do this. They will target a system, draw players to it, and then hit another system really, really hard. And they'll be like, oh, I did not know this was going to happen sort of midweek. Yeah. They've just all switched from system A to system B, and perhaps that system B is a fortified system which has got some outlying exploited systems, and they just take a big chunk of territory with tactics. And that's the kind of thing
you could do a complete tactical feint on someone and just be like, well, we're going to take this one. Nope. Look
Yeah.
over there. Oh, it's gone now. That's mine.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And in terms of like the activities, we're talking about fighting other players. Obviously, players can engage with each other, I guess, in space. Can they engage with other people on the ground as well in terms of
You can do whatever you want, basically. Yeah. So if it exists in the game, power play is almost certainly listening to it, and that action is going to support your power's behavior. There are some actions that I don't think influence power play, and they're like narratively they make a lot of sense. But it'll be clear to you in the UI what your power wants you to do.
Yeah.
And like we said, because each of the powers is different, they have a different character, they have a different ethos about how they approach being a power. Like Ashling's approach to exerting her influence over people is going to be vastly different to someone like Hudson, who is going to whip out some guns
Hudson.
and make a dent.
Honest Hudson.
Honest Hudson, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be a very different approach for each of the powers. So yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna try and, as best I can, see if I get this right. If I understand it, I think with the rule of thumb we're going for here, chat, is that if I understand it, then I've probably got a rough grasp of how this works. So we have the different.
We know
states.
this is difficult. We're gonna teach Arf how it works, and if that works, then you should be able to get it as well.
So we can go into an uncontrolled system, then it becomes exploited, then it becomes fortified, then it becomes stronghold. You can't expand from an exploited system, but you can expand from a fortified and a stronghold system. A stronghold system has a greater expansion radius than a fortified, but it's obviously more of a target if you are a stronghold system. If you want to,
so far.
Thank you. If that's all good. If you're going into uncontrolled systems and just expanding it out into the deep black, well, as far as you can go with this people, it has to be people. If you're going into a system which is controlled by another power, first you must undermine that power, bring it back from its various stages. So you have to move it from a stronghold to a fortified to exploited, and then goes into a contested state where you have a bit of a ding dong, and whoever comes out on top in your fight will then take control of that, and then you have to then begin that process again from building it from exploited to fortified to stronghold, and that's expansion. And it's all done basically and you can all see this in the UI, which is actually really, really cool. It's all done by and I think the best analogy there was like a tug of war. I think in the past it's been very confusing about how it works, but now it's just a very simple bar, and you can see where your influence is taking place and how close you are to moving that to the next stage, be it fortifying to stronghold or undermining another power's system state. All right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Thank you very much. Right, so that's expansion. I guess I'm egging it on. Can we talk about stronghold carriers? Can we? All right, listen.
Quick cut to stronghold carriers.
Next segment will be stronghold carriers. See you in a second. All right, we're here. I was pushing for it, so this is the next segment, and we're going to talk about stronghold carriers. So, Luke, for those that didn't, we only kind of teased it. We showed an image of the stronghold carriers. What are they exactly?
Okay, so we've got a stronghold state. We've got another thing that can appear in a stronghold state, which is a stronghold carrier. So, if you've got a stronghold star system and it's a particularly good one, you're probably also going to get a stronghold carrier there as well. And that means that you've essentially got a hub there for your power, members of your power only. And if you're not pledged, you can't get on them. They're specifically for your power. That, is just a great thing to have. And it's a real bastion of your power's territory. And, it's got some nice stuff on it.
Okay. So, Curtis, I arrive. I have worked really hard for my power for this particular system. It's a stronghold, and it has a stronghold carrier fleet. I expect my champagne as I land. What can I do with these carriers when I arrive? What can we do here? Is it my power?
So these carriers are going to be a great place for you to go and outfit yourself for whatever activity you want to go and do. So they're going to have very well stocked markets. Like if you want something and there's one of your stronghold carriers nearby, that's probably the place you're going to want to go, because it's a good shout that whatever you want is there. There are also places where you will go to get certain items that you can use for power play actions. Anyone who's played Power Play 1 will know what I'm on about, but basically there are certain commodities and stuff that you can only get from stronghold carriers, and then you can take them to other places, and sometimes you'll be bringing stuff to the stronghold carrier as well. So it's sort of like a hub for activity for your power as well.
Cool. And obviously, it's a carrier. It has a group of ships around it. If I arrive and I'm not pledged to your power, in fact, I don't like your power, and I don't want your power to be there anymore. What can I do around this particular fleet?
So there's a lot of sensitive equipment on these carriers that you can mess with. You can try and be subtle about it, or you can just start shooting. Although I hope you've got backup if you do that. So yeah, you can go in, you can damage these carriers, which will obviously like reduce their effectiveness. It's a very good, strong way to undermine a stronghold system that has a carrier in it, is to attack the carrier, because not only is that sort of a symbol for the power in that system, and so whenever it gets attacked and damaged in any way, that sort of shows weakness, but it's also like the hub for like all of their resources and stuff. So you can really damage a power by attacking them. There's also always going to be a load of power ships around there, and killing them is never good for a power. So it's a good place to have a fight, especially if you want to bring a couple of friends, and then maybe someone who's already on the carrier notices, and they're going to call in a couple of their friends, and you can have a bit of a scrap to see who's got the biggest guns.
So they will. So I think you said they're going to be quite the focal point. I think Luke said it in the previous segment. Obviously, having a carrier there is a great boon for your power, but also does paint a hefty target on that system's back to say, like, actually, if you want to undermine this particular power, this is the place to do it. With regards to the ships that are around the carrier, can we interact with those in any way?
Yeah, so there will be your normal ships that everyone can fly around, patrolling and guarding it. But there are also going to be what we've got as support craft, which are other carrier-like vessels that will be like, they might have one that's where they're keeping a lot of their like equipment stores that you might be able to go in and like crack the hatches on and get some goodies out of them, either to destroy, or if you're quick enough and nimble enough, you can steal them and get out with them, and then you can hand them into your power. And then there's also going to be support vessels around there that are primarily there for defense. So knocking out their weapons is a good hit against the power. So and they'll have some data on them as well that you can steal for information. A little bit of espionage. So yeah, there's a lot of support craft around there that can be interacted with in different ways.
Cool. So they're not there for show. They're not just sitting there doing nothing. These craft have a purpose, and they can be interacted with, especially if you're trying to undermine a particular power.
Yep, they do look pretty, but they're not just there to look pretty.
Cool. And I guess what happens because I don't know the answer to this question, we're just going to ask it. How do you make the carrier leave?
So a carrier will leave if the system is no longer sort of like got enough influence in it. If you're not maintaining enough presence in that system because you keep getting hammered by other powers, the carrier is going to have to leave, because it's no longer safe for the carrier to be there. And these are big financial investments for the powers. They're only going to have a limited number of them. They're going to deploy them to a limited number of systems. So the carrier will leave if it gets demoted from stronghold to fortified.
All right. And again,
so it's sort of a double whammy at that point for the power.
And again, you'll see all that quite clearly on the UI. Will tell you exactly how you're doing. So there should be I would imagine players will have a call to arms to say, like, we're going to lose this stronghold carrier or this stronghold system with the stronghold carrier pretty rapid if we don't get over here. All right. Have I missed anything off about stronghold carriers? I mean, I think we're excited to see how players interact with these, especially in wings, and how many players are going to try and. I'm not keen on having a fight around a carrier, by the way, just because I know how bad I am, and I know how many times I've been killed by the Frontier Fleet carrier when I forgot to move away from the parking spot. I got eliminated pretty quick. Are they as beefy
that is
as
one of
those?
the things that's different. Yeah, that's one of the things that's different about the Stronghold carrier, is that it's not just going to have because we need the station guns elsewhere for other reasons. They're there to make sure that you can still play the game, basically. But this is designed as a gameplay environment. It's not designed as just a place where services are provided to the player. It's designed as a place where commanders go and actually have all out fights against each other. Right. So the weapons are balanced for that sort of experience, which means I can go and actually if I sneak around here and I get caught, I can actually get away. Yeah. I don't just
You're not going to get beamed immediately, just erased from the galaxy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is cool.
And equally, that means if I take out these weapons, I can either just blast them, or I can, turn them off. Like there's a couple of different ways I can approach this stuff, but yeah, it means that also if you're at the carrier and you're sitting there going like that looks weird, something's different about my like one of the ships that's got weapons on it, like all the weapons look offline. Have a little look, check your radar, check your sensors, like where is he? Because there's someone flying around here like doing stuff to your carrier. Deal with them. Like, and if you notice that when you're docked and you're using the services, or you see like a response, undock, get out there and like sort it out. Like it's this natural like dockable location that you can play at and actually have like a full blown fight at as well. So it should be really good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it because I think that was my initial worry when I saw the stronghold carrier. I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to undermine that from a player's perspective because I know how powerful station cannons and fleet carrier cannons are. But you just said it there. This is a gameplay environment as opposed to like a function that has to absolutely remain the way it is. So it's great to be able to see that you've balanced those weapons, and also I'm really excited to see major dogfights around these stronghold carriers will look absolutely epic when all the guns are blazing and players are fighting each other, and yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. All right, so on to our, I guess, probably going to be our final deep dive segment for the show. So I want to talk, we've spoken quite a bit about how the PowerPlay 2.0 is going to be more accessible to our players and let them understand what they're doing. A lot is going to be done through UI. So if you guys could, if you can, talk through some of the UI changes we can expect to see in PowerPlay 2.0, but also, because I'm greedy and I'm doing all this work for the powers, I want to know what's in it for me. So if you can talk about how players will earn rewards for pledging to their powers, but let's start with UI.
Cool. Okay, so I think we've teased this previously, but I'm hoping we can get some nice footage. Quick, B-roll. One of the biggest changes that you'll see if you've played PowerPlay 1 and you're looking at PowerPlay 2 now is the change to the galaxy map, which comes along with the idea that you can do whatever you want, basically, as long as your power supports it. You can do any action and it'll be beneficial for your power. Every system that has a population in it is basically fair game. As long as if you can reach it, power play can be there. So the system, the galaxy map now reflects that. So you no longer have these big sort of polygonal bubbles of influence and whatnot. You have there's two main views. There's the overview, which is this lovely sort of rainbow collection of glowing star systems that shows you all of the territory that all of the powers have, and you can filter that in various different ways and make sure that if you want a specific piece of information, the UI will help you get that information in a sort of spatial sense. I can navigate from where I am. I can skim around a little bit, look at the the actual space around me, and like figure out what's a good move, what's a tactical move. And also what's not working well for other powers, which is quite one of the biggest things to do. And then there's the strategy view, which is I hope I'm getting the name right. So I'm very sorry. There's a lot of words.
We're still working on it, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Put whip on everything. There we go. So there's a strategy view as well. So that's where you pick a star system and you basically see in detail what that star system means for the power that it's currently controlled by or not controlled by. So if you're looking at an uncontrolled star system, you can see what's nearby, what might be having an influence there, how people are expanding into that star system, or if there's no one able to expand into it, that strategy view will tell you that. If you're looking at a controlled system, you can tell, if it's exploited, i.e. you can't expand from this system yet, you can tell what system is supporting that. So there's a fortified system nearby, there's a stronghold system nearby. You can tell what the support mechanism for all of this is in a visual, 3D sense, which is going to be super useful. And again, if you target a stronghold or a fortified system, you can figure out using this view how much does that stronghold actually support? What is it allowing that power to keep hold of? Essentially, how valuable is it that they keep that stronghold? And if I was to undermine that stronghold, and that control radius comes down, what do they lose? Is it worth me doing that? So that's what the strategy view is meant to help you with. And the other bonus of strategy view is you can also just target your own system and it'll tell you really quickly what's good nearby that I could do now. So if you don't want to think too hard and you just want to play Elite for a quick 20 minutes, something like that, open up PowerPlay, look at the strategy view, it'll tell you you can look at the nearby system, do this over here. Brilliant. Okay, cool. I can go and do that. So it's super easy to do.
Cool.
So that's the
No, I was going to say,
I'm
Curtis,
missing
you
some
mentioned there
bits.
might be some smaller changes that are in there. Anything that you can talk to in the UI?
So small changes on the Galaxy map will be stuff like the actual like power play panel that you get when you click on a system that appears in the top right of the screen will have some additional information for you. It's going to mirror, for example, the tug of war bar, as you aptly named it, so that you can quickly click on it. Yeah, so you can quickly click on a system and go, oh, okay, so this system is quite low on the bar, or it's quite high on the bar, and we'll also be showing the players like what's the activity in the system. So you can click on a system and go, oh, okay, this one's like really high and there's no activity, so like maybe I don't need to do anything here. Oh, but this one's really low and it's got a lot of activity, so I probably need to go and help my side here, for example.
Cool. All right. So again, it's all about immediacy and let players be able to see straight away what they can do to influence their powers. Their powers influence.
Yeah, it's what you can do, and also what other people are doing. Like that's what the UI is going to do a good job of showing you.
Excellent. And again, for me, I'm doing all this stuff, but what is the power doing for me? And what are rewards? How do I earn them? What can I get?
Oh, you're such a mercenary.
I am.
So yeah, we know that. Like you definitely want to like do stuff for your power. So the other aspect of the UI that we're changing is that there's a power play hub, right? There is a power play hub already, but we're streamlining it and we're changing it so that it actually reflects power play 2, in all the ways that it needs to. So all the Galaxy map stuff will be there, but you'll have different access to different views. So if you want to just look at stuff in a list, for example, and see what is the most like fortified stronghold that you've got, what's the one that's got the highest reinforcement level of all my fortified systems, which of the uncontrolled, the expansion attempts that I've currently got going are like, moving very far in that direction, and which ones aren't moving far, so which ones should I be helping out? That's where you can get all that information and just sort it. So if you don't care where you're going, you just need to know exactly what the one is that's most useful is, use that UI. But yeah, like you said, why would I do it? Well, for stuff, you get stuff. Like your power will give you stuff. They've got loads of money. They can afford this. So there are two main things that we're doing for power play. The first thing that you'll get when you start to pledge to a power is that you'll be given some assignments to go and do. So these are like, some of the actions that your power wants you to do. They'll ask you to go and do those first. Once you've done those assignments, they'll go, all right, you're cool. You can be a member of our power. At that point, you are now essentially on this, what we've called loyalty rewards. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're calling it loyalty rewards. The name might change. I don't know. I quite like loyalty rewards, even though I can't remember it. So you're now on this loyalty rewards track. So what that means is for as you do anything in power play, your power will give you merits and vouchers and various other bits and pieces to support you doing what you need to do. As you gain merits, you move up this loyalty rewards track. Once you reach the next sort of length of this bar, you'll gain a loyalty tier. So I start at 0, I go up to 1. At 1, the power is going to give me something. So it'll depend on the power a little bit, but it'll be something that's beneficial for you as a player always. So if you're, let's say in, sorry, not always, but it's fixed to you as a player, and it's usually dependent on your territory. So, for example, it might be I got a 5% cheaper rebuy in star systems where I am controlling, my power is controlling the star system. So that's quite nice. It also makes it, worthwhile me expanding my territory, because then I get that 5% rebuy in more places and I can do more stuff. That's cool. It also makes it easier for me to defend and a little bit cheaper for me to defend from the people attacking my power. We keep going. So you got loyalty level 2, loyalty level 3. That might increase the rewards that you've already got. So you might go from rebuy cost being reduced by 5% up to 10%. You might get additional ones, like you get benefits for trading. Curtis has a huge list in his head, so I'm probably doing a disservice to this. But I don't know if there's any interesting ones that you want to shout out about, Curtis.
I don't think I'm going to shout out any individual ones, but what I will say is, as you said, like you gain some when you first start, and then as you go up, you both gain new ones, and older ones will get upgrades. So every time you increase in loyalty rank, like you will benefit in some way, as long as you're in one of your own systems. So again, as Luke says, it's a real incentive to go out there and make sure your power owns as much of space as you want them to own.
Yeah, exactly. So you keep going up, you keep gaining loyalty reward tiers. At some point, you'll reach level 10. And at level 10, you've maxed out now. You've got everything. And also, just to respond to another question, I can basically see what chat's saying right now. This doesn't go down. You do stuff, it goes up. That's it. It's super simple. It just, I don't need to rush now. I don't need to do loads of stuff like this week. I just go and play. Like as long as you're supporting your power, they will listen to that, and it will increase your level of loyalty with them. And at some point, you'll reach level 10. If you're playing far too much for a healthy human being, then you'll probably get there quite quickly. But eventually, everyone will reach level 10.
Yeah.
And at level 10. I'm not sure if I should talk about this. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay, let's do it. Why not?
Do it. You only live once. Come on. It's normally me that gets in trouble, Luke. You can get in trouble for once.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So at level 10, what happens is we give you, you get, first of all, you get all the perks for being at loyalty level 10. So you get the best of the best. Everything that your power is going to offer you, they're going to offer you at level 10 in the best way that in the highest amount that they'll ever give you. So you should be feeling pretty good about, doing anything for your power at that stage, because they'll support you doing it as well. But at this point, you can't progress anymore. So what happens now is that as you gain those merits, it goes into a different progress bar that will take the place of the first one. And then you can just fill that bar up. And when you fill that bar up, we send you a care package. So the power gives you something that's going to be useful for you. We don't quite know what that's going to be yet. They'll give you something that is probably going to be very useful for you, something that you would probably have had to go and work hard for elsewhere. But they know that, so they're going to help you out and make sure that they're supporting you by not making you go and do other stuff that that would take you away from supporting them. They'll help you out for you helping them out.
It's like you said, I mean, powers are friends in high places, right? So they're not powers for no reason. They have tendrils everywhere, so I'm sure they can some juicy bits for players to receive as a reward for their efforts. Okay.
Well,
big question.
There's more.
Oh no!
Do you want more?
Then. I'd like more. More, please.
I've talked a lot. Curtis, do you want to talk more about this?
Do you want to go onto the leaderboard? Is that what you want?
I'm talking about the leaderboard. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the leaderboard. Yeah, let's talk about the leaderboard. Okay. So, obviously, you're getting these perks when you go up the loyalty rank, which is your own sort of personal rank within the power. That's for you and you alone. But then we have this new concept of leaderboards, which is to sort of encourage some friendly competition inside of the power. And this is where you compete against everyone else in your power to basically see who loves their power the most. Who's doing the most work for their power. And so it's a tiered leaderboard. So anyone that's done a CG will be familiar with the way we tier stuff. And basically, your sort of weekly reward for the power in terms of credits, where before you had a sort of a personal allowance based on your own personal rating, so the equivalent of the loyalty reward now. This is where you're getting that from. So the more you do for your power every week, the more of a reward you'll get. And also we will... Should I talk about top 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
We should talk about
and we should have Luke on more often, chat. Like he's just like, tell him everything.
Just spilling everything.
So on top of
you wanted the deep dive, right? We're doing the deep dive.
All the way
in.
What
happened. Yeah.
Right at the deep end. So along with having increased credit rewards for the higher tiers that you go into, the top 10 and the MVP for that week will also be specifically called out, both in the UI. We'll be displaying their avatars in game along with their names, so you can see exactly who is like that. Like, well, it'll be last week that you'll see. But last week, like, you know, Bill was the best. You know, and you got Tom, Sarah, Jim, like, you know, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. And you'll see their avatars, and they'll be displayed up like in lights to sort of show off who is the best in the power. They also get like the most money as well, so you know there's that as a nice incentive as well. And we're also planning on like representing this in game as well. So when you target Bill's ship, you'll know that, you know, where he placed on the leaderboard. So if you come across him and he's not in your power, you'll be like, oh no.
Yeah.
He was the best last week.
It depends.
Or, oh yes, let's kill him. Exactly.
Yeah. So if Bill, for example, was Ashling's best power, you'll target him and go, okay, Bill is pledged to Ashling and was the MVP of the entire power like last week. So I'm going to make him pay for that, basically.
Well, that's both great and terrifying
it could
for
be
Bill.
Arf. We could have used Arf.
It's never going to be Arf. Arf can't dock with FA off, so it's not going to be Arf. All right, so last question before I try and wrap up, and it's a question that comes up quite a lot. Is PowerPlay 2.0 open only? Both? One, the other? Talk to me.
It is going to launch in exactly the same state as PowerPlay 1. Mm-hmm. What we do with that, like serious talk now, like what we do with that is kind of up to you guys and how you experience it. We know that this is a point of contention for PowerPlay 1. But PowerPlay 1 is there, and yeah, it's been, you know, it's interesting. We're trying to solve the main problems that we've got with PowerPlay 1 at the moment. We don't like how PowerPlay 1 works. Like it's there's stuff that we want to improve about it. Hopefully a lot of what we've just talked about is going to make you guys really happy to play it. We'll see how it goes. If there is like a really, you know, strong urge to move towards open only, or if we want to change this, you know, I suspect there's going to be a lot of debate about this one, but like it's where we need to kind of lean on you guys in the community and say, what is it you really want? And we need to measure that with PowerPlay 2, because PowerPlay 1 is a different beast. We can't change everything in one go and expect to get it bang on first time. So this is where we're kind of opening it up to you guys and going like, look, we've redesigned the system. We're really happy with it. There'll be some stuff that you guys will find that needs a bit of a tweak, or it needs a rebalance here and there. Like it's all right. We're paying attention to that stuff. We're watching that feedback constantly. Basically, we don't sleep. So we're constantly looking at this stuff and trying to figure out what we can do to make the game better. This has been a huge labor of love for the team. Like there's a lot of work and a lot of like discussions that have gone into this. There'll be stuff that we haven't answered in this. That's fine. We'll probably find a way to answer that for you guys as well.
You've spoken for quite some time, I think. We've done.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot, but we've probably raised more questions than we had at the start. So, but hopefully they're good questions, right? They'll be fun questions. So yeah, and then the topic of open only it's always going to come up. Like, do you want open only, or is it okay as it is? Let's have that debate and see what happens, and then we'll do what's best, what we think is best for the game, basically.
All right, there we go. That's been quite the deep dive. Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you so much, Curtis, for spending so much of your day talking to me and explaining it to me in a way that I understand it. So I'm going to try and recap as much as I can do, as best I can do for the end of the segment. So essentially, PowerPlay 2.0 allows players to pledge their power and expand that power's influence via territory. Territory is based on or that power score is based on not just the amount of territory they have, but the cumulative score of the territories they own. Each territory they own, or system, that they own is worth a different score depending on the population. So different systems are worth different amounts of score. There are different states when you go and start moving into different systems. So you have unoccupied, you have exploited, you have fortified, you have stronghold, and you can get a stronghold carrier as well. Carriers can be interacted with from both sides. If it's your powers carrier, you can go in there, you can land, you can get some good gear from there, some extra bits and bobs to help you do more missions for your power. If it's not your power, you can go there and you can undermine that carrier. You can have fights around the carriers. They have been designed as gameplay spaces for you to engage other players with, or just to try and undermine that power by maybe hacking some cargo locks, or just stealing some data, switching off weapons, all the good stuff. We've overhauled the UI for PowerPlay 2.0 to make it far more accessible for all of our players to just get involved. So we've got rid of Command Capital, we've got rid of the voting system. We've made this very, very accessible for all of our players. So you can literally just go and pledge to a power, pick a system, immediately look at a system, find out what needs to be done, and just go do it. You don't have to spend hours and hours poring over different stats. All the UI should be there to help you look at where you want to be and what you want to do, and you can just go and do it. And it's all geared around your different play styles. So all the different gameplay loops are integrated into PowerPlay 2.0. And that's all there for you to do. And why would you do it? Well, actually, you're expanding your power and their influence in the territory. But if you're like me, you're doing it for cool stuff, which you get. So you go through a different loyalty scheme. The more work you do for your power, the higher up you go to different loyalty tiers. And then when you get to the top tier, you enter a sort of a new banding where, as you do more work for them, you get sent a care package at the end of it all, which will let you know that you're really loved by your particular power, because they send you goodies in the post, like at Christmas. So there's that side of it. That's all really cool. But not only that, you get to compete against other players in the same power. So you get the leaderboard, and that's reflected in game, which is super cool. So you actually become a personality within your own power. So the players will be able to see who is the biggest player within their power. And other players will also see that you are the biggest player within that power and may target you or flee from you, depending on how terrifying you are. And of course, the other question we talked about there was PowerPlay 2.0 will launch in the same state that it is right now, so it'll be for all players at all times, and it's not just going to be open only, but we are listening to feedback on this. We need to take a good measurement of how the systems all work in PowerPlay 2.0 before we do anything else. All the team are monitoring this all the time. We're really excited to see players get engaged. We're really hoping that PowerPlay 2.0 is way more accessible for players and not so terrifying a concept to start with. I think what we've shown you today and talked through today has probably given you an idea of how we're trying to simplify that whilst maintaining that deep strategic layer that there can be, so players and factions will be able to start working out different strategies. So I think that's my summing up. Did I get anything wrong, Luke, Curtis? No, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take it as a
excellent. Well done.
Okay,
that was a good summary.
Thank you. I'm really excited to see players get hold of this. We're still a few months off yet, so as you've seen all the footage that we've been laying in on top, we'll have whip all over it. It's a work in progress. Some of the things may change. Some of the names may change. In fact, some of the names we may have made up today, just because we're referencing stuff that we see internally. So forgive us if it changes. It happens. It's a peek behind the curtain of game development. Once again, can we have some 07s in the chat? For both Curtis and Luke, for all of the time they spent with me again today to cover a very in-depth system. Thank you both so much, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. And I will see you both very, very soon. Wowzers, there we go. So that was a very long chat with the wonderful Curtis and the wonderful Luke about PowerPlay 2.0. I believe that's going to be going up as a VOD for people to pick apart as they can. I'm sure there's parts there, as I said, that we've missed off in PowerPlay. It's such a huge beast to sort of go into. Obviously, we're seeing all the stuff in there about open only and et cetera, but as the guy said, it's something we really want to assess and we will be taking a look at in detail as we go further on with PowerPlay 2.0. Right, we're coming towards the end of the show. It's been a big one. So we talked about the Planet Zoo Barnyard Animal Pack that's coming out on the 30th of April. We talked about the aquatic and I'm going to forget the name. It will come back to me. Producer Adam's giving me. What is that? What's it doing here? That's it. The Aquatic and Twilight Pack, which is coming for the next DLC for console players. We confirmed that the Barnyard DLC will be coming to console at a later date to be confirmed. We also confirmed that there's another Animal Pack coming for PC Planet Zoo players that will be later on down the line. We had a sneak peek from Harry about JWE2 content is coming. Then we had a very deep dive with Matt and Stu on F1 Manager 24 coming later this year and available to wishlist now. We looked at the mentality system. So check that out. And then we just had a 45-minute plus, maybe 50-minute plus chat with Luke and Curtis about PowerPlay 2.0. It's been a great show, and we're going to be back. Now, Producer Adam, did we confirm the date? It's the last Wednesday in May, and it is. Producer Adam's going to do some furious typing because we just realised we hadn't worked this one out, and my head is ajar with stuff. But while Adam's checking that out, it's been a long one, so thank you very much for sticking through with all the details. As I said before, check our social channels because it will be it will be available there to have a look at all the VODs afterwards. And the next show we'll be back is on the 29th of May. So that's pretty much all the information. Oh no, there's one more thing. The next variant will be the Type 8. See you in the next one. Bye bye.